Hi everyone, welcome to our third virtual class with the Handmade Arcade Virtual Marketplace. I'm here with Kelly and Monica from Love Pittsburgh and a group of makers, and they're going to be making some hand-sewn holiday fabric garland and ornaments tonight, and we're super excited to get started. So I'm going to pass it off to these lovely creative women from Love Pittsburgh.
So I'm Monica. I am co-owner of Love Pittsburgh, and Kelly is my business partner. And we're going to be making the DIY garland tonight. I don't know if you guys got a little kit for your garland. We were selling some kits on our website. They look like this. But if you don't have a kit, all you need to make this craft are some fabrics. We're using fleece and just different like patterned fabrics, like quilting fabrics, embroidery floss and a needle, and some string to make your garland, and of course just like a pair of scissors, nice sharp scissors for cutting some fabric. And I did include some instructions and templates within the kit, but really you can kind of do your own thing, like free form shapes, if you will. Maybe how about we get started with the kit, and then as we're working, we can just kind of like talk a little bit about what we're doing, what we're making, share with you maybe more about our store, Love Pittsburgh, as well. So I'm just going to open up our little kit here, and this you can see laying out around me is the actual finished example of the garland, but I'll just open this up and just show you the little things that I just described. We have our instructions. I chose to use some fleece, and if you got a kit, you're going to find the needle is going to be tucked into a piece of fleece, so make sure you pull that out because you're going to need that. And here's our string, which we're just going to set aside. We won't be using that until later on. And your embroidery floss, and then a bunch of different little fabrics to choose from. Kelly provided all of our different pattern fabrics. She collects all kinds of fabrics and repurposes them, and so we have a really fun assortment. They're holiday inspired, so it's all upcycled materials that you're going to be using tonight, so no waste for our garland. And one of the probably my least favorite thing to do is thread the needle with the embroidery floss. So maybe we can just get started doing that together, and then we'll dive into a little bit more of the instruction. But the first thing you'll want to do is just pick out a color of embroidery floss. Everyone has different colors, and they're contrasting with the different fabrics and stuff like that, so you kind of get this chunky looking stitch whenever you actually make your little ornaments. So it's a little bit fun and funky looking. So you're just gonna pick whatever color you like, and then we're gonna do a good length of the embroidery floss because we're going to actually double it over. So once you start getting one end through your needle, you will double the length and tie the two ends together.
Do you have any tips on threading the floss, Monica?
Yeah, I do. So my little trick is I wet the end just like in my mouth, and then since I'm having trouble getting this one undone, I'll go with a loose end that I can find here. So first I'm just gonna cut myself, I don't know, a little over an arm's length embroidery floss. This will definitely be enough for one ornament, maybe two, and that's, if it's enough for two, that means less threading of the needle. So I just wet the end, and then I will just kind of like take the end and flatten it out with my fingernail. And so you get as flat of a piece of embroidery floss as you can. You know, it's hard to see, but it's actually, see how it kind of tapers like that. And then I just take that flattened out piece of floss and thread it through the needle. You want to make sure you get all of the strands of the floss, because you can separate embroidery floss into a few different strands, but we want them all to go through the needle. And so once you have one end through, you're going to bring both loose ends together and then just tie them in a knot. Okay, so we have a little knot at the end of our floss. Once you have that knotted, just have to bring your needle all the way to the middle of where that thread would be. So basically by just like stretching out your thread, you have a needle at one end and the end with the knot at the opposite end. Okay, so hopefully the embroidery floss isn't giving you too much trouble. This hopefully is the hardest part of the whole process. And so I have just a few patterns that I'll show you guys that I provided. And we have a little tree shape, a bulb, and a star. It's, you know, you can use these patterns, you can choose your own pattern. You know, there's all kinds of cute shapes you could make, maybe a little candy cane or even like a heart or something like that. I really like the tree, so I'm going to cut out my pattern with my scissors, and this is going to be the first ornament that I'm going to make, is the tree. And I will say, I mean, this project, we've given you enough fabric to make about 8 ornaments. And, you know, they're not too big. They're cute to do on our little hung garland here. If you preferred, you could just use them as ornaments and not string them onto the garland. But, you know, we have, I think, about an hour for this class tonight, and it will probably take more than an hour to make all of the ornaments. I don't know that we'll be like getting through the whole string of garland, but it could be a fun project to continue or make with a friend. So I'm just going to, you know, kind of pick out a little fabric that I think would be fun for my tree shape. So maybe we'll do some green fleece and some red, so a nice fun contrast. And really, you know, you can use any fabrics that you have on hand. The reason I chose for this project to use the fleece, it's because we're going to use some of the scraps to actually stuff into the ornaments. And you can see like some of these are, you know, plushy. You can see there's like a little, it's like a little pillow that we've made out of these ornaments. And so that's why I like the fleece as a choice. So like fleece or felt or something like that. If you're just working with just some, you know, quilting fabrics or something else, this will still work just fine. You might need to use a few more scraps or something as the stuffing, but you know, you can definitely make it work. Um, and so what I like to do, I like to choose, you know, a color of fleece for the backing and a fun patterned fabric for the front. Um, you know, it's up to you how you want to pair your fabrics. And then just using the template, I'm going to start to cut out those shapes. I cut them all out together. So like as the fabric is layered, I'm just doing the cutting. That way they're going to match up. Their edges will match up nicely. And I'm just going to retain the scraps as that's going to be our stuffing. So if you want to just start pairing your fabrics to kind of get a little plan together as far as like how you want to match for each ornament and each shape, you know, you could work ahead and do that. If you just want to kind of like freeform it, you know, you can just kind of match them up as you go. I think it's fun to just kind of wing it. You know, there's no right or wrong way to pair things together. So you know, it's your call how much planning you want to put into your garland. But so just keep that in mind. But I think we can start to do a little bit of sewing. So now we're done with our little pattern. So now I'm going to start with the needle that we've already threaded with our floss. And for this, all right, I mean, you guys needed some time to like get your fabric cut and everything, right? So it's all good. All right. Okay, so how I begin to do the actual sewing, I like to hide the knot is my little trick. So I separate the two layers and I start by inserting from the inside. Oh my gosh. Let me have another rubber band. We're sorry for the technical difficulties. Let's just reinforce the camera. Okay. Much sturdier. All right. Okay, so what I've done here, from the inside to the back of my piece of fleece, I am threading the needle through. You can see that, and then I'll just pull the needle through. So this is just the very first stitch we're making here. And now you can see that you just want to make sure your floss doesn't get bunched up. So just pull it all the way through. And now you can see there's a little knot on the inside. And I'm just going to tuck all that underneath. And coming out of the back is my thread. Okay, and so from here, I'm just going to start using just a regular stitch, and now I'm going to come through from the back to the front of the fabric. And so we're going to repeat how we're stitching just like that the whole way around. So basically, any time you're going to make a stitch, whatever side the thread has come out of, so in this case it's come out of the front, we're going to go back into the front. Okay, so whatever side the thread has come out of is the side that the needle goes into. And it's nice to just kind of help your floss along, your embroidery floss, just to make sure it doesn't get tangled. And now we have the very first stitch. And now, since my thread is coming out of the back, I'm going to insert the needle into the back, same side that the thread came out of, and we're just going to pull it all the way through.
Monica, do you have an opportunity for any brighter light?
Maybe. I have 2 lamps beside me right now, so I don't know what else I can do. Just give me 1 second. Okay, we have some extra light on the way, so just bear with me for a moment. All right, so my floss has come out of the front, and so now I'm going to go into the front, and then pull the floss through. So you can see how the little stitches are progressing on the back. Okay, I'm going to try to set up some extra light. Is this helpful? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, we're gonna maybe try a different option because I feel like it's actually looks darker in my window now. I don't know if that's the same with you guys. I feel like that's maybe.
I think it looks bright. Does it look better for you, Deborah? It says the light is yellow. I'm not sure if there's much we can do about that. I'm seeing a pretty bright, clear picture. What about you, Kelly?
It looks great for me too.
I wonder if...
I'm gonna try one more light too.
Okay,
so
thank you.
We'll try something else, yeah. Okay.
This is the brightest.
Okay, so let's see. I don't really have like a place to put it. Better, worse.
It looks
think
the same. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Kelly.
same. Yeah, I always felt like it was the same too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if
Well, I'm gonna turn this off for now. Since I
it
don't
did take the
really-
yellow cast out a little bit, but yeah.
All right, sorry guys. I hope you can see it okay. This is I don't know. I'm not sure what else I can do at this
This is our super DIY
point.
first ever virtual attempt at classes. So we are learning, and thanks for being patient.
Yeah. Okay. So how's it going? How's everyone sewing? Are we making some progress? It's always hard for me to know like at what pace everybody sews at. And it's really kind of your comfort level. Oh geez. my husband's trying to help us with the lights. And I think we've just lost a light. But yeah, I mean, if this is your very first time sewing, you know, it could take you a little bit longer to, you know, do the stitches. But if this is old hand to you, then, you know, how's that? That looks brighter to me. Is this better?
Yes, it looks a lot brighter.
Yeah, that looks a lot brighter.
Okay, we took the lampshade off. Okay. All right. So, you can see, you know, I've just done like a few stitches so far down the side of my little tree here. And I just follow along with the contour of the tree. I like to leave a little bit of border of fabric around the edge. That's just my own personal style. I think it looks a little crafty that way. So you can see some chunky stitches. And before we go too far along the border with your sewing, one thing that we want to do is start to add in some of those little scraps. So if you have some of those trimmings from before, when you cut out your little pattern, we're going to add those in between the two pieces of fabric that we're sewing together right now. So I am just coming around maybe like halfway with my ornament right now. So I think this for me is going to be a good time to add in some of that little fleece. If you trimmed off larger pieces, like I have like a few little pieces, and I also have like this bigger piece, and I generally use the fleece. You could use both types of fabric, but like I said, I like the squishy quality of the fleece. So you could, you know, cut the larger pieces down to size a bit, so some of them will fit inside, and you won't use all of it. You'll just use what you need. And so I like to just tuck them in there. So I'm just opening up the two layers and just giving it a little stuff. I'll maybe use another little piece that I'll trim off here, maybe even the small one. And then you just kind of pinch it shut. And so now you can see it's starting to look a little puffy on the side. It has like a little pillowy shape to it. And that's what we're going for. So I am just holding now the fabric shut as I go. I'm just pinching it shut with my fingers. And I'm gonna keep sewing just as I was, resuming where I left off. So the floss came out of my fleece side, so I'm gonna go back into the fleece side. And repeat, going into my fabric side.
This is a real treat to be doing this. Like it's making me feel like I'm in the holiday spirit. I like it.
Ah, good. Yeah, I made this garland, you know, in prep for the class, and it was our first Christmas decoration that we put up. And my husband Chris loves Christmas. It's his favorite holiday. And so we already have the tree up, and I'm kind of like surrounded by all these like Lego like Christmas trees. So um he's taken his Christmas hobby now into like Lego bricks, which is a fun thing for my house to have even more Christmas elements. So yeah, so we're decorated. You can even maybe see on my bookshelves behind me. You can see some of those decorations up there too. All right, so I'm getting close to being at the end of my ornament. And as I am coming to finish it, I am gonna take a little extra step. And that extra step is going to be to leave a little loop of embroidery floss. And that little loop is going to be what we're going to use to string it onto the garland. And I'm just gonna pull out a finished example here so you can see. Here's a little tree, and this pink here, this is the loop that we're going to be building onto our little ornament. So I'm pretty much at the last stitch I'm going to make. And so since I'm here at this last stitch, I'm going to do that same technique that we did when we very first started, which is go through only one layer of the fabric. And in this case, I'm going to go through the back layer. So you can see I've not poked through the front layer. I've just poked through the back. And I'm pulling the needle all the way through. And now I'm going to do that same thing, except instead of pulling the thread all the way through, actually, I take that back. I am gonna go through this front layer one last time. So let's just do one last stitch through the front layer and come from the front layer into the middle, or actually, yeah, into the middle now. And now let's just pull that thread all the way through. So you're ending wherever you're gonna be with the thread coming out of the middle. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go catch under a stitch that I have in the middle here and use this to make my final knot. And this is where we're leaving our loop. I'm just gonna leave a little loop like that. And now I'm gonna knot my embroidery floss to itself. And I'm actually gonna use the loop that I just made to make that knot. So here's my loop coming up between the two pieces of fabric. And then to make a knot, you just go through your loop with the needle. And it's like, you know, you're tying a shoe, you know, like, or just making just a normal knot. and then you just tie it tight. And if you want to do that twice, you can, to do a double knot. So you can come through the loop. And then back through to make the knot right onto itself. And just pull it tight. So now what this does, it just hides that little knot between those two layers of fabric, and it leaves you with a loop. So now we have, a length of string left, depending on how long you originally threaded your needle. And since we've knotted it off, I'm just gonna give my string a little trim. Just cut it off right past that knot. So there we go. We have our first little ornament. It's a little puffy tree. Yay, I see Kelly has one. Cute. All right, and so let's do it again. We have plenty of time. I think we could get through another one. And let's see, I'll try to use a better contrasting fabric this time. I thought I was picking a good one before, but it didn't look as bright as I thought it would. So let's see, maybe I'll do the bulb shape this time. So I'm just gonna cut out my pattern.
Do you think these would make good cat toys?
Yes. Yeah, if you had some little catnip, or if your cats don't even care about that, I'm sure they'd like to play with these little fluffy things. I have a sleeping cat right next to me. I'll ask him when he wakes up. Okay, so I have my 2 layers of fabric again, just laying my pattern on top of it. And I'm just using my scissors to cut out around it. Like I said, I'd like to cut them both out at the same time so they really match up. You can always, trim them later if you need them to, need those edges to match a little bit better. Again, keep some little scraps handy. I'll get rid of my little green ones, just some color matching. And again, I always start at the top. And before I get started, since I just trimmed the string from my previous ornament, this end is no longer knotted. So you do want to start by putting a knot in the end of your floss before you get to sewing your ornament. Okay, so I got my little knot on there. And same technique where we're gonna split apart the 2 pieces of fabric. And I'm gonna start just, right in the middle center, put the needle through. Okay, so the knot is in the middle. Then I close up the fabric to hide that knot inside. And then we just start sewing. So whatever side of the fabric that your thread just came out of, that's the side the needle goes into. Okay, then we pull it out. It's our first stitch, and then we just keep going along the border. if you ever do run into any trouble, like if you, you know, go and make a loop around the edge, you know, if you were to make a stitch like around the edge, that, you know, if stylistically, if you wanted to do that, there's really nothing wrong with it. It's just, it looks different, of course. And if you already started on one type of stitch and then you accidentally go on the wrong side like that, you'll want to back out your stitch. And it's easy to do that with embroidery floss and with this fabric. So to do that, I just would reverse. I would just pull out that embroidery floss. And then I'll help the needle along, you know, I'll straighten out the thread when I get to the very end. And then you just pop it back through. So it's undone. It's the undo button for sewing. So whatever side your thread came out of is the side the needle goes into. I'll just pull it all the way through. These are just nice little simple ornaments put together. Since there are a bunch of them, it's a good project to do with a friend or a family member. You know, you can create a garland together or create a set of ornaments together. You'll have many opportunities to sew these little guys. And each one is different, so you'll know whose is whose. Fun different thread colors, different fabric patterns. Okay, I'm about halfway through, so I'm going to add some little scraps. I'm just going to open up the 2 layers and add in some fabric. I might want a little bit more for this one. I have a little bit more room. Just cut an extra piece. That's pretty good. And then I'll just pinch my open edges together with my fingers, and I'll keep sewing.
I'm thinking these could be cute, like make them little holiday sachets too. If you put some lavender in them and stick them in your sock drawer. I'm just sitting here thinking of all these other ideas of like, what do I want to turn the next one into?
Yeah, I've made similar things before, and they weren't always holiday, but I've made little plush things like this, and you can turn them into magnets if you put a magnet on the inside. And I've also sewn little like pin backers to them, so you could make this like a little like pin to wear.
Cute ideas.
They can also be cute as like little gift tags, like attached to a gift with that you could give to someone to hang on their tree or something. That would be cute.
So sweet.
I love that.
Yeah, and we don't get into like actual embroidery, but you could like embroider someone's like initial on the back of it or something. That'd be really cute. Okay, so I'm getting close to the end. I have about 1 more stitch left, so I'm gonna finish that last stitch. I'm gonna come through And then we're gonna do our little loop. So I'm now gonna go only through the back fabric. In this case, you know, it really doesn't matter if you're coming from the back or the front. But the goal is that your needle is going to end up in between those two layers of fabric, okay? So the thread is coming out from in between. And now we're just going to leave our loop. And I like to just find, you know, really, you could find a stitch or that knot that we started with to begin with. And I just insert my needle through there.
Deborah offered a fun suggestion. She said, how about luggage tags?
Aw.
I love it because it's very identifiable. If the, you know, the black luggage comes down, but it's got a cute little ornament on it.
I think that's brilliant. My mom used to always take high school trips. She was a Spanish teacher, and she'd take groups of kids to Europe, and she would give them all red and yellow puffballs that she had made to put on their luggages so that it was easy to find them when she was with like a group of high school students coming into wherever they went, to Spain and Portugal, and I think they even went to like Northern Africa once. And it was, I think that's really smart. That's a good way to find your suitcase.
Yeah, it's super cute. Cute way to find it too. All right. So there I got my little loop. You can always just kind of tuck that knot back in there if it comes out.
Connie mentioned this is a nice project with grandkids, which is so true because it's very like age friendly, right? It can go from, what do you recommend as the starting age, Monica?
You know, I said 8 just because, you know, if someone was trying to do it on their own, I don't know that you would want to do it much younger than that, unless they have sewing experience. You know, there are much younger kids who can sew. You know, it's if that's your first time though, maybe 8 years old, but with help, really any age, you know, as long as you're kind of keeping an eye on them and you know, getting things started, like 5, 6, you know, you could start doing this type of project with them. Okay, so I made 2 ornaments. Maybe you guys are breezing by me, but you know, we're just taking it slow to kind of make sure we're able to get our little instructions down and everything. So we have, at this point, I think let's just do a little example of how we might string this onto our garland. So we each have a length of string, or, you know, if you are using your own supplies, I mean, I'm just using like a cotton string, but you could really use anything, a piece of yarn. If you have leftover embroidery floss, that could also be your garland string. And, you know, there's not a whole lot to it. I like to start at one end, and this is whatever end you want to start at. This is going to be like, I guess, the finishing end, you might want to think of it. So you don't need to pull the thread, I'm sorry, not the thread, but the cotton string the whole way through. You just, I'm leaving a little bit of slack at the end here because I'm probably going to want to make a little loop for hanging. And I could actually just do that now. For spacing purposes. So if you wanted a little loop on your garland, you could start by just tying a little loop on the end for hanging. And then I've just strung one of the ornaments on, And I'm just going to do a knot to tie it and hold it into a place. Super simple. But when I want to string my next ornament on, I'm gonna go from the opposite end. So now you have a longer length of rope to feed the ornament through. And you'll just want to, pick your spacing. You can, if you have them all done, you can kind of lay it out, or just, decide on where you want that next ornament to stay on your garland, and then just knot it off. Just tie a knot with your garland rope, and that will hold everything in place so it stays evenly spaced as you go.
Deborah suggested we could put some kind of little weight inside of stuffing so they hang down from luggage tags, or maybe don't need any weights. So it's just like a suggestion, but a question also.
Oh, well, that's cute. Yeah, I guess we'll have to experiment, see what works best. These would be, maybe they're too small as like a bean bag, but they could make them a little bit bigger and make a little bean bag or something with these. Should be cute. All right, and I just put another little loop on the opposite end of my garland rope, just so it'll have a little something to hang from. And you could use this on your tree if you wanted to, or it's something you could string between a couple picture frames. I think this is nice and small. It's a fun size, so it's something you could really kind of fit anywhere. I think it would be really cute to dress up your desk, give your desk a little bit of like holiday spirit. Or bathroom mirror or vanity, something like that. So how's everybody doing? Have we had some sewing success, I hope?
I'm happy with mine because I have 2 cats. So they're each gonna get one's gonna get an owl and one's gonna get a tree.
Oh, you made an owl. How fun. Well, I just want to thank you guys for crafting with us. Kelly and I were the owners of Love Pittsburgh, and we're really happy to be part of the Handmade Arcade in a virtual way this year. We love going to the Handmade Arcade to find new artists and makers to feature in our store. We have 2 stores, one in Mount Washington and one in downtown Pittsburgh, and we're all about local artists. We just love everything local, and that's why we only carry people who are from Pittsburgh. So yeah, we're just Kelly and I like to make things. We don't have a lot of time to do that sometimes, so this was a nice treat to be able to do some crafting. I definitely got to do a lot more crafting. Previously, I had a business called Pop Craft, so maybe you guys have seen me before at the Handmade Arcade. I used to do some of the hands-on stuff there. But yeah, so this is like a really fun treat to be able to get together and make a little project. And I hope you guys will like share some pictures with us so we can see what your garland turned out like, or your ornaments or luggage tags, or you know, whatever whatever we're going to be using these for.
I think it would be great if you guys want to take pictures and post it to Instagram and tag at Handmade Arcade and at, is it Love Pittsburgh?
Love Pittsburgh Shop.
Your Love Pittsburgh Shop. Yeah. Thank you so much, Monica and Kelly, for doing this tonight. We really appreciate it. And we're going to take this video and get it edited and put it out back on our website for other folks to make. And I wish you all a super safe and healthy holiday season, and stay crafty. That's how I like to sign things off.
Love it.
Thanks,
That was
guys.
fun.
Thanks, Trisha.
Have a great
You
night.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.